My name is Oskar, and I'm responsible for sort of making sure that we execute on all the things that we promised in the white paper, and doing so in a way that aligns with our principles. The idea sort of behind the principles is that initially we had this sort of implicit understanding of things that we stand for, and also the wider Ethereum community, and also Bitcoin before that stand for it, but it was sort of never made explicit. We got together in Basel a few months ago and sort of tried to make this more clear and make it more explicit. And the idea is that we can use these principles as kind of a tool for decentralized decision making, because it's very clear sort of what we stand for, and sometimes they are colliding with each other, and that means that you have to have an explicit dialogue about how you want to sort of think about it, and it's sort of bringing some kind of rigor and intellectual honesty in terms of what we're doing here. I think that it's kind of unique in that it's trying to, instead of it's not just a company and it's trying to get rid of that entity, and instead making it as a network of stakeholders. And I think most organizations are not trying to sort of get rid of themselves, they're rather trying to solidify their position, whereas we are trying to give control to individual humans and entities within this sort of network, which is one way of looking at what status is. If you look at sort of traditional social networks and so on, you have this model where people can use an app for free, but that doesn't mean it is free, it means that they are the product and they're being sold to sort of advertisers and so on. What we're trying to do is create a network where everyone's a stakeholder, and that means things like being part of hosting infrastructures, running your own status nodes, and making S&T from that. And what cryptoeconomics is and what it allows you to do is it's using cryptography to prove certain properties about information, things that happened in the past and so on, and then using economic incentives and disincentives to encourage certain types of behavior in the future. And this is very much sort of a core of the Ethereum itself, and it's something that we're trying to embody in status, both in terms of how people run their own status nodes, in terms of how you do things like chat moderation without having a single point of failure or single sort of point of trust, and also in terms of how we fund things, because we look at it as more sort of collection of individuals that are sort of funding public goods and trying to come up with structures that incentivizes that. I think it looks more like a sort of nebulous network where people come in and out, and they have certain problems and they see certain problems, they can contribute to it, whether it's with funding or by sort of code or design or whatever it is, and people sort of permissionlessly participating in this network, and sort of being able to use status as a sort of tool to communicate, coordinate, and interact with other people in sort of the network.